Sorry, is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hey Robin, it's Lacey again. I still have some things that I would like to discuss, and I still have some questions. I think you might be able to answer some of them. So I'm going to keep calling every morning until I can get a hold of you. But during the day, it's kind of hard because... Oh. Hello?
Is this Lacey?
This is. Oh, I was just in your voicemail.
Lacey, this is Robin McCullough from the FCC. I thought I just saw you call in, and I was trying to get the call, so I apologize.
No, that's okay. I'm glad I finally got through.
Okay. How can I help you?
Okay, so with the Children's Health Defund, or the Children's Health Defense, that case is happening in January, you said?
I believe so, yeah. Just go ahead and Google that, Children's Defense Fund and FCC. That's how I pulled it up, because I was not aware that was going on. I guess I had heard about it, but had forgotten about it, and something came up that said that there was something that was going to move forward in court. I thought it said in January 2021.
Okay, do you know...
So,
I researched it a little bit. I didn't find when the dates were going to be. I just know that I don't know if there was a if it was going to be a hearing or if it was going to be an actual...
I'm not sure. It was just something that I saw that it said it would most likely end up in court in January 2021. I did not have a specific date, but that definitely was something that I read online.
Okay. So basically, the thing that I was reading about is, so it's something called a prima facie case, meaning that they will go ahead with the court or the case because all of the evidence suggests to do so, and you have to disprove the evidence that they have. So
I'm not a lawyer, so I really can't provide any guidance with regard to that.
No, that's fine.
I just happened to note in some of your tickets you brought that up. So I thought, well, if that's your concern, I can certainly see what I can find online. And it had nothing to do with the U.S. Court of Appeals. I believe it's in the District of Columbia, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I know this.
So,
the FCC.
Yeah.
The FCC was created, from my understanding, was created in 1934 to promote the safety of life and property when using radio waves. And from what I know is the FCC has not updated its guidelines in over 25 years with radio frequency and radio frequency radiation, and the SAR, which is I think it's the standard.
Yeah, so there's a whole chain of events under 5G that you can read about. You can look at wireless transmissions and FCC standards. The information that I've provided you is the information that I have at this point. And okay. I do know that the FCC went and revisited some of those standards when that was questioned, and there was a review. They made a public announcement last year that the standards remain the same. So that's the information that I have. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. So basically, 5G uses radio waves, right? Or radio frequency? Correct?
It's a wireless transmission.
Okay. And that, like, wireless technology does have, it emits radiation, correct?
I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I couldn't tell you that. My whole knowledge about 5G stems from working here over many, many years, and that is that first, if you remember, we had analog. And if you think about it, with those old bag phones that we had, you never even had a hiccup in service. It was pretty good coverage. and there were very few cell phone towers.
Yeah, very few.
And then there was 2G and 3G. So now that the whole world is, transferring to 5G, I had wondered why, we're still putting more antennas and things like that. And because 5G is so fast, my understanding is it's not as strong as the previous technology, so it doesn't travel as far. So therefore, they deploy more antennas to cover, the same amount of area as where they only maybe had 2 antennas before, and now maybe they need 4.
Yeah.
But that's the way that I have read this information. So you can take it from there. Does that mean it's less powerful? I don't know.
Well, no, because
so you might want to do a little bit more research.
Well, I know that it's dangerous because they're deploying this on top of the FCC is deploying this on top of the 3G and the 4G and all of the intelligent communication systems that are part of our infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm not at liberty to discuss that with you because I don't understand it. I'm not a technologist. I'm not an engineer. The only thing that this phone number, that toll-free phone number that you've been calling, or my number, what we can provide you is the research this. That's the extent of my involvement, period.
Okay, that's fine. I understand it's not your involvement. That's why I want to talk to the commissioners, and because this isn't, like, to me, I could care less about, I mean, I do care about, like, the legality and, the responsibility that needs to be done, and I do care, and I want a lot of these cell towers and most of the smart technology and 5G to get deactivated until we've figured out how much damage has been done. So, like, it's kind of a moral responsibility.
Something you're going to need to do is, and not to interrupt you, but something you're going to need to do is to participate in some of the comment proceedings then.
Yeah,
or follow that court case if it does go forward, because it's not, you just can't reach out to the commissioners and the chairman and say, okay, this is going to be a done deal, I want this done.
Why?
You're going to need
I
to go
pay tax
through the
money.
proper proceedings and whatever hearings that they have, because obviously if there's a court case, they can't even comment on it. I would not think that they could. It would be wrong to do so until the court decides.
They have voices. They are human beings. This, like I said, I'm not a part of the court. I am a human being. I'm talking to people as human beings, like heart to heart.
Right, and I understand that. Yep, I understand that. I do understand that. That's why I would put my comments in there, because I don't know that they can discuss anything. I don't even know who is our representation for this. The only thing that I was trying to do was to address your concerns when you called in, and that's why I said, I pulled this up. This is something that you had mentioned, so I see what you're saying here, and there is a disagreement about it, so it looks like what this, and it's a media outlet, so I don't know if it's truthful, but it says that it was going to go forward in January of 2021. So I don't even know if that's correct.
I don't think you and I are on a disagreement, actually.
Oh, we're not? No. Absolutely. I'm just trying to provide you with information so you can move forward with this and keep up with what's going on.
Well, for the last time I checked, the FCC is still approving certain 5G, and I think it's in the 5.9 frequency band. So how do I stop that? Like, and they're also approving unlicensed devices as well, or I think some of it was through intelligent communication systems within the U.S., and then there is a lot of other stuff that was being approved the last time I checked. I think that was either a week ago or a month ago. I can't remember what the date was on it, but it was somewhat recent. And that was mostly with the commissioners and, I don't know, whatever press committee that decided that we're announcing that.
I'm not even sure what to say about that. I would think that anything that is a ruling at this time or that is current, they're going to go with what the current rules are. Until
which is mostly
anything tells them
driven.
otherwise.
What's that?
Until anything indicates otherwise.
That it's a monetary agenda?
I mean, you and I both do not know what's going to happen with that appeal or whatever's going on. I have no idea.
I kind of know, but anyways, like I was saying, is there any way I can talk to the commissioners or get their emails or stop the keep deploying a lot of, or keep approving this shit technology that hasn't been proven healthy for human beings, and there's no consent involved? So how do I stop that? Or what can you do?
You can file your comments like every other person that has filed their comments. This is something that is going to be decided apparently in a court if it moves forward.
Okay.
I mean, they will look at all of that. Apparently they have made their review, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can't even comment on that. I just happened to find it was a news article that said that they anticipated that it would be January 2021 and that there would be a court case between the two parties. Is there going to be? I don't know that for sure. I'm telling you about something I read that was in a journalistic publication. Is it correct? I have no idea. But I wanted to let you know I did see what you were saying, and someone here is aware of that at this contact point. Our job is to provide you with the resources so that you can follow up either if you're filing a complaint about your service provider, a billing or service issue, we would serve that complaint to that provider to open an avenue of communication between you and that service provider so you can resolve those issues. So when you're researching something of this matter, it's up to someone here to point you in the right direction that you can pull the proceedings, the comments, file comments if you wish to. And I had not seen any comments thus far about someone acknowledging a couple of the items that you brought up in multiple phone calls about the Children's Defense Fund and the 5G technology. I just wanted to let you know that I do understand what you're saying, that it is something that does not travel as far. Yes, I see that they're deploying more of these facilities, but people are saying that it's lower power. You had mentioned about the FCC not changing their standards. That has been reviewed. I did provide you with that information. So I'm not sure where to go from here other than, if this does move forward, it would be decided upon between those parties involved. I can only just try to provide you the resources, so I do apologize.
Okay, does the FCC or do you have access to, like, the grid location or where exactly the new 5G smart grid is at least in the U.S., or like where the little multiple cell towers are being placed, like, or which companies that go through your guys' regulation?
I have no idea what that's about. I do not. When you say a 5G grid.
So, like, I'm talking about, like, which companies.
People have said to me as they're walking down the sidewalk and all of a sudden they see this new pole and
where does that pole
they find
come
out
from?
later that there's something at the top of the pole. It's in multiple cities, I do believe. And they're saying, well, this is outside my beauty salon or this is outside here. But it's, it's X amount of feet in the air. Those antennas don't even get registered with us. I mean, yes, the transmitter would be licensed, but the antenna itself, if it's under 200 feet, there's no requirement for it to be registered with us. And deployment is going to depend on them complying with all the federal regulations with regard to Indian burial grounds, historical types of preservation, environmental concerns, and things of that nature. So,
hang on one second.
That's what it would be, and the local authorities would approve that.
Okay.
We have no oversight over that approval.
So you said the antennas that are under 200, do you say 200 feet are not approved through you?
So if there is an antenna that, it doesn't matter if it's cell phone, 5G, what it is, whether it's, broadcast or TV or whatever. There's only certain antennas that meet registration requirements. That's some information that was sent to you before. And what it states is if it's under 200 feet, if it's not near a small airport or at the end of a runway, yada, 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 it does not have to be registered with us. However, there's a review about that because, like I said, it could be near a small airport or at the end of a runway or something of that nature. What happens is total placement is decided upon locally. If it ends up meeting those requirements for registration, more than likely, first of all, the FAA is going to do a study because it poses a air traffic hazard. Let's say if it's out in the middle of a field, out in the middle of nowhere, like along the interstate and whatnot, where you see these really tall structures. Then what's going to happen is, according to our rules and regulations, it has to be lighted and painted, and it has to be registered with us.
Okay, so, well, from my understanding is the more antennas that are placed, at least in the U.S. and around the world, and like with all that transmission, the transmission and the receiving process, or all the data getting sent through the antennas, through the 2.2 billion active smartphones and all the satellites, that's going to interfere or cause distortion within the human's electromagnetic field and even through airplanes. So all of this technology, I don't know what the average height is.
I am not going to discuss that with you. I did advise you that I am not a scientist.
I understand that, but
I
you
can
are a
only
human.
give you the information that you're trying to research all of these things. So I do apologize. I can provide you real information about proceedings, comments, how things are registered. My position here is limited. I'm not a biological scientist, and we do have those employed here as well. So
really, okay, yeah, I would like to be. Can I be connected with some of the?
So that is somebody who takes care of looking at migratory bird patterns and things like that. I don't know what their limitation is, but again, you need to follow the process.
Okay, yeah. How do I get in contact with the biological scientists? And also, I have one more question. I
don't even know who that person is. What I'm saying is when they go into some place, they have expert people who weigh in on these things. Let's say that there's some sort of protected endangered species. Before anything would happen in that area, or before they say, no, you can't do this, then they would defer to that person that is either contracted or whatever they do with that. I'm not saying, oh, there's a division here where you can contact this person. I would follow the process, please.
Okay.
Because I don't have a handful of people that you can just contact and say, oh yeah, they're going to weigh in on this. They're not going to do that. If there's a proceeding out there that everybody has to participate in, they're not even allowed to comment.
It's the Federal Communications Commission. There should be communication going on.
There is, and everything that has been decided upon is public and there for your review. I can't guess what's going to happen in the future.
I'm not asking you to guess what's happening in the future. I'm asking you to prevent something. But one of my questions is like, do you know what the average height is for the new 5G cell towers? And are most of them being registered through the FCC?
I don't know what that average height is. Okay. And my understanding is it's not a tower. What I said to you is this is like a light pole that goes in the middle of a city or whatever. I don't know if that's 5G or if it's something for better cell phone coverage or what it is. But we have people that call in from California and say, hey, I see this sign on this pole. California has some extreme language on some of the things that they require. It's just like every time I buy a pillow or anything like that, it says meets requirements for cancer or something or other, blah, 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 for the state of California. So when people see those things, whether it's just a pedestal that connects their cable, they're losing their minds out there, and they're calling in and saying, hey, there's this sign, because they're required to tell them, don't go into this box, don't touch these wires, you'll get electrocuted, things like that. And they have these warning labels that cause people to call in here. So when I mention a tower like that, somebody says this is outside my beauty salon, and it says that it could have, voltage in it or whatever. What is that about? And I say, well, what does it run? Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's my lights. I don't know if it's my electric. I don't know if it's, a cell phone tower or new 5G. So it's like, okay, well, that warning label is there for your state. I would suggest that you take the poll number and call the Public Utility Commission, find out what that's about. This is what I'm talking about. And they'll tell me there's this metal sphere-like thing at the top of it, so I think it's for cell phone coverage or 5G. And I'm not sure. You have to tell me what's on that pole, and then I can maybe explain it to you. But this is what I'm talking about. These are very, I don't know if they're like maybe 60 feet in the air. I have no idea. Or maybe they're 100 feet in the air, but they're certainly not 200.
Tracking.
And I'm sure you might have seen them. You can Google a lot of this stuff, honestly, or Yahoo or whatever search engine that you use.
I'm tracking. Well, the reason why I call you guys is because I thought the FCC is supposed to be regulating most of this stuff, because now what I'm understanding is we have a whole nother level of of crap to deal with that's not being regulated and is just being implemented all over the world, and there is no understanding of what's going on with this. And this is on top of the 4G and the 3G. And that's like, when you say it's not the antenna.
So 3G has a sunset date. There's not going to be any more 3G. So there's a sunset date for that where carriers are turning that technology off. You can find that sunset date on our website. I mean, they're not going to just keep deploying stuff and not getting rid of old networks.
Well, that's good news. I mean, but they're still using the same cell towers, are they not? I mean, they're like the cell towers, from what I understand, is, yeah, you have the new 5G that are going to be putting like the new smaller cells around, and then those will be using the bigger ones that are in the area and using the satellites. So there is an overlay.
You're obviously researching this and have more information than I have, but I don't know that there's an overlay, because I have all kinds of people that are calling in here saying, listen, I've been required to buy a 4G phone, or at least a 4G, because they're going to retire the 3G network and my phone is no longer going to work. So there's not going to be like 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever. They're going to constantly progress to a different type of technology, like they did with television. We went from analog to digital. Does that mean that there's, more towers for the TV stations? No, there were taller ones that were put up because the signals travel in a straight line, but it doesn't mean that there's a ton of more technology out there. There was a transition to the latest technology. Yeah. And honestly, in speaking about towers, the taller, the better.
I mean, that's a perspective in my point of view.
Okay.
I think that's enough for today. If I have any more questions, I will definitely give you a call back that I think you would be able to answer.
I won't be able to call you back. I think I've done as much as I can to answer your questions. I am sorry. I think you need to follow this process. I don't have information daily about 5G. I have what is there on our website, and that is it, between the proceedings and everything else. And the one thing I did do is I went outside of our website to try to figure out what you had mentioned with regard to the Children's Defense Fund. I can't even give you that website because of the fact that it's not internally approved. We don't typically use information from other people's websites. It has to be approved by our legal team and whatnot, but I wanted to understand what you were saying to me. So I did find that news clip, and I'm sure that you found that if you looked at, lawsuit between Children's Defense Fund and the FCC or whatever. I wanted to know, was there, number one, such a thing, and number two, where does it stand at this point? I also found that the Commission had reviewed and made the statement that, yes, we reviewed those standards, and we are going to keep those standards at this point. So, okay, I've tried to provide as much information as I possibly can to you.
I understand. I have a personal question for you. At what point did you find it not acceptable or acceptable?
What?
The deployment of some of this technology. Because you said you've been working with the FCC, 25 years? Or 26 years?
34 34. I worked at a monitoring station, which doesn't mean a whole lot. I was an administrative person. But, you know, as this information comes out, I read what is put out there as well. You know, and I trust in my agency's decisions. So I don't know what else to say to you.
All right.
I mean, my son lived in a dormitory that, you know, had a cell phone tower on top of it. And people call in here all the time about that. And I thought, you know, and then there was something that was improved where they had Wi-Fi in the hallways. There was additional equipment put on the top of his dorm. So, you know, I flat out asked one of the engineers here, he goes, yeah, no, it's, you know, if it's all installed properly, he said, you know, you're fine. I said, okay. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
So the thing about a lot of these warnings is if you're the guy that's climbing the the broadcast tower to provide maintenance for that television station or whatever, you obviously don't want to stand in the beam of the transmitter. You're going to turn the tower off. He said, so there's all kinds of warnings, he said, and you know, there are things in California where they have very strong language, so when consumers see that on some of these facilities, things that are directed toward technicians, they're like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 you know, and it's like,
yeah,
they get worried about it, but if they're not standing in the beam, then they should be fine.
Yeah, my problem with that is that those are engineers. Those are not biological scientists. Those are not doctors. Those are not, they're designed to do a specific purpose, and that is to build and put up cell phone towers and figure out the engineering to do that. They don't have the health and consideration of the long-term effects or of what's actually happening to the biology of like cellular structure or of the body, whether it's at that moment or in the future.
Well, and again, we rely on other sources for that information, scientists, other health agencies. I probably should have said environmental scientists, not biological. I think I meant environmental because that's a lot of stuff that is looked at when there's migratory bird issues and something that's endangered. So there's NEPA requirements that, and I'm sure you're familiar with those, that any sort of antenna or placement of anything in those areas has to meet. And that's what the person that they have review those, or, you know, if it has to go someplace between a committee that looks at that, that's what I was talking about, not biological, in the sense of what you're saying about effects on humans, because we go to health agencies and doctors and scientists for that information.
Yeah, my problem
and
is
those are listed on our website, World Health Organization, I mean, OSHA,
the EPA and
Health and Human Services, FDA, you know, NIOSH, just places like that.
Yeah, I know that the EPA have stated many things saying that not this technology specifically, but the effects from this technology or the results from this technology is hazardous. I don't have the quotation with me, but I think that's why the case is being put
and you
through.
should contact them for making that statement and ask them for their information, how they decided upon that.
I get it, but I'm just saying it's all funded by the same thing.
All and be all here at the FCC. I would contact the agencies that make those statements and ask them where that came from. Could you have access to that research? Because that's what we're going to be looking at.
I hope
we don't just do this on our own. I mean, we have oversight over communications, not health concerns. That would absolutely have to come from biological scientists and things like that. And they've done that. They've used studies that were there present before. They've reviewed them. So, you know, I don't know where this issue will go, or if it'll even be in January 2021. There's a lot happening. I mean, between the election and the pandemic and everything else, I don't know. I don't know if that was a statement in that article that they supposed that it was going to go forward. Or if there was actually proof of a court date, that's something that you might want to look for through the Children's Defense Fund.
I got it. To me, I'm just saying one last thing. To me, it's a very simple thing. Radio frequency radiation is harmful to human cells. And to amplify that, whether it be on top of 3G or 4G, 5G is going to be a technology that's going to amplify the radio frequency radiation, therefore causing or doing more harm down the line. It's a very simple thing to me. That's why I am interested in calling people and trying to get this problem solved immediately, because to me it's a ethical and moral emergency, and it's personally I take it as a responsibility if you're aware of this type of information. So thank you for answering my call, Robin. I really, really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And if
you're most welcome. Absolutely.
And if it is possible, like, to direct me to your science department, or if you can do anything, or give me any different numbers or people that I can talk to, I would be very grateful.
I have nothing. I have nothing, and what I was referring to is EPA before antennas are placed and things like that. That's something that's already decided upon. With regard to migratory birds or EPA review or anything like that, it's before the antenna is placed or whatever, and that decision is made based on whatever it might be, whether it's the species or whatever,
you said
or
that's through
the scientific data they would have. So there would be one person that would review that, or maybe a committee. Maybe they would devise a committee among the industry. I'm not sure. This is the only reference that I was making.
How do I get on the comments calls, or like put in a comment or whatever? Like, how do I be a part of these committees?
That's the electronic comment filing system. That's the electronic comment filing system. And what you would do is look for a proceeding with regard to the subject matter that you're talking about, and you could file comments. The best filings, and you can file comments, anytime and add them, but the best comments are those before they're trying to make a decision, because they're going to weigh that data that comes in while it's an open proceeding and while there's a comment period. Of course, there might be, notice of further proposed rulemaking or additional comment periods or reply periods or whatever it is, but it's the electronic comment filing system that you use to comment.
So no humans, do humans look at them? I know that's a weird question, but...
I'm sorry. Oh, no, absolutely. I believe those are brought up and they discuss those before the proceeding or before the decision is made. And that's where, when you talked about who's the people doing this, this is where those folks involved in the proceeding make those decisions based on those comments, the public's input, the data that they have, things like that. Now, with regard to placement of a tower, there's already a standard in place, so the environmental review that I was speaking about, it doesn't happen a whole lot. I mean, I don't know if there's a committee that comes in if there's a big issue or something like that. And that's typically, they open it up and they look to the industry, they look to the people that provide the science data and everybody else, and then it's decided upon with that committee. And it might be one person from each or whoever that, and,
that's a lot of power for one person.
Scientist would be.
That's a lot of power if
I'm
one
sorry?
person. I said that's a lot of unnecessary
It's
power
not one
for one person.
because I think it's typically a lot of people. If you look, anytime there's a hearing, there's people from all over, whether it's somebody from biological science type of background, somebody from environmental science background, maybe somebody from the industry like an AT&T, people from the FCC, people from the health organization, maybe a doctor or a scientist for that. I mean, it's not something, when you see that they set up a proceeding or a hearing or investigations, look at some of the proceedings that have already happened and the type of things that they do first. They set up this committee, and then all these people from various backgrounds weigh in on that. It's not just one person with a lot of power.
So from what I gathered before, you said the EPA is the one who decides whether a cell tower goes up or not in a certain area?
No, I did say that the EPA has standards and that those would have to be met, is what I'm saying. They have their organization, they make rules, and there's a process that they follow. We go to those guidelines when that happens. So when somebody is saying, yes, I met the NEPA review, and I did this, and there's no Indian burial grounds, but there's a historical district, maybe 7 blocks away. Then they would have to go to the historical district rules to make sure that there's a lot of review that goes on for anything.
Okay. All right, Robin. I have to go to work in a little bit, so again, thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. I just wish I had more information, but again, the only thing I can do is point you in the direction. So if you have information that tells you one thing otherwise, you need to go to that organization to discuss their concerns or what their data shows. And if you're wanting to file comments, then maybe taking that data and filing your comments. I'm not sure and why you are concerned or whatever, but typically, we have our job, they have theirs, and all of that data comes together in one form or another to make that decision.
Okay.
So if we're relying on other agencies, you'd want to talk to that agency about their data and how they use that standard. One place you might even want to start is the the IEEE Institute of Electronics and Engineering or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff has not been
electrical
updated
engineering.
either. A lot of it is just parroted information used for a long time. But I'm not going to go into that yet right now.
Okay.
Again, thank you. I will call you if I do have any more information. And then again, if there is anybody that you can give me a number to, or if you can, I don't understand, because if you work for the FCC, you should be in contact with, the people that are part of these committees or who are making these decisions. If you are part of the consumer complaint, if you're answering the consumer complaints, you would think you would have the communication and knowledge given to your superior, or not superiors, but your boss or whatever,
So I use the consumer guides that are provided online at this time. That is what is recent. That is what is credible.
Okay.
That is what would answer that concern. At this time, that is the ruling. So that is the consumer guide that I use.
I would riot against that if I were you,
Robin. Like
Robin.
that. When they have additional concerns like you have, we do try to call back and provide as much information as we can so you can empower yourself to research that further. But I don't have research from every agency here. I do understand your concerns. I acknowledge them.
Yeah. I want to talk to a commissioner. That's what I want.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah. I would like to talk to a commissioner. That's what I would like. Whoever is part of this decision-making process and regulation.
I think during that comment period or whatever, if it happens, maybe that would present itself. I don't know if there would be some sort of hearing or town hall hearings when we all are better and this pandemic goes away, or what would happen. Maybe that would present itself where you could be a speaker at one of those events. I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know. Number one, is there going to be a court case? Number two, if there is anyone going to get to weigh in on that? If so, I would say that you should figure out how you can become part of that court process.
I am. But, I've only researched it for right now, but I have to look deeper into that. So thank you. I have to go to work. I appreciate your time. That's all we have here on this planet.
You're welcome.
So
have a good day at work, okay?
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Oh, I have to go process this. There's a lot of information for everybody.